T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
This is Citizens of Tech. We talk about nerdy stuff because that's who we are. If we like it, we figure you will too. Citizensoftech.com has all of our shows, and of course you can find it on iTunes and most other fine podcast aggregators. I am Eric Sutphin, and with me, as always, is the incomparable Ethan Banks. So Ethan, what do we have in store for our citizens today?
Today on the show, we have self-driving buses, the pointless steam machine, multiproc Firefox, the Failberry Priv, USB-C missteps, killing bugs with an assault gun, fun facts about top fuel dragsters, and so much more. Eric, the first story about self-driving buses is one that you found. What is this all about?
Yeah, so not only is it a self-driving bus, it's a printed self-driving bus.
Like 3D printers? I didn't know they made 3D printers that big.
3D printed, yeah. So it's not gonna come out of whatever $600 3D printer you can purchase for off of Newegg or whatever. But this comes to us via Phys.org. So this is an Arizona-based startup that's making these things. The photo is it's
like a cube with little wheels on it.
Yeah, it's almost like a toaster shape.
Yeah.
With very small, what are those? Maybe 12-inch wheels.
It's almost cute.
Yeah, it is kind of cute. It reminds me of the Mitsubishi iMEV. I'm mispronouncing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But this thing is a self-driving bus that is sort of like an Uber business model. You call it with your phone, and it's reserved for you and up to 11 of your closest friends. It'll seat 12.
So it's self-driving how? Is it using like Tesla or somebody else's algorithms?
It's using IBM Watson.
Oh.
They seem to be cropping up a lot more frequently lately.
Well, Watson was not dedicated to driving, obviously, so it's more using the AI aspect of it, so it's learning as it goes?
Yeah, I guess so.
Hit that guy. That went badly. Not note to self, do not do that again.
So, yeah, it's using IBM Watson for data processing and for streaming data from IBM's cloud services. It apparently uses context-aware navigation requests, so take me to the Chipotle on 11th, or take me to work. So apparently there are some sort of hooks into your phone app that ID you and register locations or something. I'm not quite sure how that all works, but they say...
How big is this bus if it's that personalized?
It seats 12.
Okay.
It's pretty decent size.
And I was just trying to imagine 100 people getting on the bus, giving it directions on the phone.
So this is specifically a mini bus.
Right.
So yeah, you call it with your phone app. The printing thing is what blew my mind. Apparently, they're setting up these micro factories where they can print these things in about 10 hours. All the parts can be printed, and then in about an hour or so, it can actually be finished assembly. After that, so
are they printing like body and frame, or are they printing? They're not printing an electric motor. I'm assuming there's some parts that they're just dropping into this thing.
The article was a little nebulous on that because I was thinking the same thing. They're not going to be printing electrical circuits and Wi-Fi antennas,
right?
And whatever. So I'm sure there's some parts bin, but yeah, the frame and the body, I guess, are 3D printed.
Huh.
It's kind of a...
Okay, so there's a bigger picture here, though, to me, which goes back to what Uber's doing. Uber's been investing heavily in self-driving technology. So you're an Uber driver today. Maybe you're not in 5 or 10 years because the cars are going to be driving themselves. That's where Uber is headed to ultimately. And I think part of the reason it's got, a multi-billion-dollar valuation right now?
Yeah.
Because they're reinventing transportation.
They really are. And they're getting money left and right from people that, are backing them. So, yeah, it's an interesting time to be, a motorist, I guess.
Oh, so is this thing called the Ollie, this minibus?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think we actually mentioned that at this point. So the Ollie, these people, OLLI, are, in my mind, they're kind of getting on board with what Uber is doing, only it's a bigger, more transport. There's 12 people that they're carting instead of Uber catering to, much smaller parties.
Yeah. I guess
there's
you can
efficiency there.
Pub crawl with all your friends.
Yeah. Okay, Eric, so we both have had consoles over our lives, various flavors, and a Steam Machine is one of the latest consoles. And my understanding of a Steam Machine, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's a PC with Steam on it, and that's really what it is. Only it's been tweaked a little bit, so it's basically you're dealing with the game, the Steam interface, so it feels more like a Xbox or a PS4 sort of experience.
Right. Only
the gaming comes from Steam.
Yep.
That's really what it is, right?
Dedicated graphics cards, etc.
Okay, now this is an article here I found on Ars Technica where Alienware is like doubling down. They're building more of these Steam machines, which to me is insanity because if you look at the pricing on a Steam machine, you're into double or maybe more what a regular console would be. Plus, I could have a PC already. I probably do, in fact, have a laptop or something that can already run Steam and just run Steam on it. So I'm not really sure why I would want to spend twice what I would on a mainstream console to get a Steam machine. Do you understand the appeal here?
So the big thing for Steam machines is the consoleization of the gaming PC so that you can have target platforms. So this will run on these settings on this machine and on higher settings.
An i5 with this sort of a GPU.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, who cares? That's what I don't understand. Like when they announced Steam machines back when they first started talking about Steam OS, which is just modified Debian Linux, I went, oh, that's really cool. They're making their own OS, bring Linux into the gaming world and all this. But why in the world would I ever want to buy one of these? I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now, and I sure don't understand what Alienware is doing. Basically,
digging
Dell
even deeper into the hardware. I forget all the specs. It kind of didn't matter to me because my brain was like, I was kind of with ours on this. It's like, why? Who's buying these?
Yeah.
That they would be doubling down on the hardware investment and putting even more flavors of the Steam machine.
I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. Okay, not crazy. Well, anyway, if you're into Steam Machine, Alienware's got anything you might want.
Death Watch in the future? I don't know.
Possibly. Oh, boy.
So, do you use Firefox, Ethan?
I use it occasionally when there is something that doesn't seem to run in either Safari or on Chrome. But Chrome is where I live most of the time because I use a lot of Google apps. And I don't know that this is true, but my assumption is if it's a Google app, Chrome's the browser, the platform that it should run the best on. And since I live in Google Calendar, sometimes Google Mail, but also Google Drive and the related apps, Docs especially, I should be using Chrome, right? It should perform the best. It should just work. And that seems to be true for the most part.
The logic follows, yeah.
Yeah, Firefox drives me a little bonkers with the updates. There's always a new update coming out. Like, oh, it's whatever incremental update that fixes some horrible bug that I didn't even want to be. Oh, great.
I will say Chrome does that silently very nicely.
The little icon in the corner where the color changes. It starts out green. Hey, I've got an update for you. Then it goes orange. Hey, I have an update for you. And then red. Dude, I really, seriously. I actually am very appreciative
Or it's like,
that.
oh, you closed Chrome and you're reopening it. We updated it for you,
Well, the thing about Firefox lately here is that it's moving up the ranks in performance. So there's been a project that's been underway for a number of years now that has been called electrolysis, or E10S, I guess is the other code that is used for that. And what is that? That is multi-process Firefox. That's what that is. So, okay, we all use browsers. We live in browsers. And if something bad happens in one tab of your browser, let's say, because some web page has got some process on it that just kills your browser, that can kill everything else you're looking at in your browser. And none of us have one tab open at a time. If you're like me, you've got so many tabs you can't read them anymore. They're just down to the icon. Like, I really got to go back and close some of these. Yeah.
Can't even see the little X to close them.
Exactly. So I'm going to read a quote here from the Ars article that really compartmentalizes exactly what electrolysis is doing. The initial version of E10S is going to split Firefox in twain, dividing the browser between a UI process, user interface process, and a content process. In short, this means that gnarly websites that hog your CPU won't cause the entire browser to become unresponsive. And then Dotzler, one of the guys working on this project, says that the next step is per tab processes so that one website running out of control doesn't affect the rest of your tabs, followed then by sandboxing for security and then isolating add-ons into their own processes. And Mozilla's goal for this is to all happen before the end of 2016. What year is it? It is 2016.
Yeah, they have been iterating incredibly quickly with Firefox lately. I guess where my ignorance comes in is I thought sandboxing essentially already did this. I know sandboxing is more of a security issue, but each tab gets its own process. So, yeah, a tab could lock up, and you have to kill the process for that tab. Good luck finding it, because they all say either Firefox or Chrome or whatever. But I guess I don't see, from what I hear you say there, it sounds like there's more control over CPU resources built in.
It sounds like truly distinct multi-threaded processes. Maybe multi-threading is maybe they're leveraging that, but the idea is completely separate processes, one from another. Truly unique instances, one from another. It kind of reminds me of containers versus virtual machines in the IT infrastructure world. But I think the other thing that struck me here about this, Firefox doing this, it isn't just about web browser performance. To me, I'm kind of reading between the lines here and going, okay, so like Chrome OS, is this Firefox OS that now you've got this application environment that would be suitable for standing up applications, knowing that you're going to have an environment you can run it in that's protected from other things that are going on. If I'm a developer, that's interesting.
Yeah, and Firefox OS was a thing that they were trying to make happen.
Exactly.
So maybe this came from that. Maybe this is a chance to further develop it and then down the line bring Firefox OS back around. Because Chromebooks are killing it right now. So maybe Firefox is going, we could totally get into this market.
So let's go off to the right here. You said Chromebooks are killing it. You mean just they're cheap, they run Chrome OS, as long as what you need is in a browser, awesome.
Sales-wise, too, they're crushing. They're selling like hotcakes because
I just haven't paid attention to that.
$200 and you have a fully functional, Google Drive, Docs, and Gmail and all that. That thing will run that till the cows come home, no problem. $200, not $600 for
I've never had a cow come home actually, but anyway.
Well, maybe if you invited them home, they would come home, Ethan.
It is my fault. I'm sure of that.
Just reach out.
Anyway, the beta is out now for Firefox 48 that is supposed to include this, and the stable release is supposed to be out August 2nd. Those are the timelines. So if you're interested in Firefox, maybe you forgot about it, multiprocessing is coming along.
Very interesting.
Now, Deathwatch. We had put the BlackBerry Priv on Deathwatch. I forget exactly what episode it was, but BlackBerry had made a big announcement that, hey, we're coming back, baby. We got a phone that's just going to kill it, and it's called the Priv, and the whole thing is about security and privacy, and gosh, it's even going to run Android. That's how amazing we are. Physical keyboard, boom. Yeah, it ain't selling. No one's buying the thing.
As predicted.
As predicted. So lots of issues were cited by AT&T, one of the carriers selling this phone, to CNET, explaining why the BlackBerry Priv is not doing so good. So first of all, no demand for a physical keyboard.
I'm shocked.
I mean, the virtual keyboards are terrible. My iPhone typing is the thing I hate the most. I'm used to it. I can get by with it, and I've seen some people that are amazing with it. And of course, there are substitute keyboards you can get that help with accuracy.
Swipe and Swift key, and yep.
But I had a BlackBerry once upon a time. I do not miss the physical keyboard.
I hated the physical keyboard on that BlackBerry that I had.
Well, the joke on the Priv is the form factor. So it's this sliding deal, right?
Yeah.
So you've got this long, typical smartphone sort of proportions, and then you slide the keyboard out. Now you've got this long, kind of top-heavy, unwieldy. I haven't played with one, in fairness, but I'm just looking at this thing going, oh my word, no.
At least like the original Droid, the Motorola Droid, it slid up width-wise. You slid it out to the side and flipped it over so that it was wide in your hand.
Yes, not extra
tall
long.
in your hand.
Right.
Yeah. Form factor is ridiculous.
And on the BlackBerry that I did use years ago, it's not like my accuracy was amazing. It was nice to have the physical feel of a button under your finger or your thumb that you were pressing, but it's not like it made my accuracy just extraordinary. It didn't.
No.
So anyway, yeah, not surprised. No one's looking for the keyboard. And I guess the BlackBerry brand has no berries. I think BlackBerry was saying, Someone is going to just love the fact that it's a BlackBerry, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, if it's a BlackBerry, I remember them. They were amazing phones. We have to have one. Yeah, no one cares about that either, unless they're like a super fan. There's some super fans.
Even President Obama just ditched his BlackBerry.
Really?
For a new hardened Samsung Galaxy 4, I think it was. So, no one cares about BlackBerry anymore.
So if here's the funny part about the few BlackBerry superfans that are buying the Priv, they're not getting BlackBerry OS, right? Because the big thing about the Priv is, we're moving to Android now. And they're like, I don't know what to do with Android. So they're not happy with the Priv they bought.
Yeah. You have a BlackBerry, but it's not really a BlackBerry. Yeah.
So to corroborate putting this phone on death watch, even BlackBerry CEO John Chen says they are thinking about getting out of the hardware market. So John, call us next time. We'll save you some headaches.
I've been saying this for like 8 years now, that they should have just licensed the software, the BBM, and been done with it. Just get out of phones. So, yeah, give us a call. So from one device that isn't doing very well to another device-ish thing that is doing okay but is really sort of a mess, right? We sort of talked about USB-C in the past here a little bit about how, there are different form factors and there are different specs, and how it's not a cohesive thing. So there's more of that on the horizon here. It's not getting any better, basically, right?
USB-C?
Yeah.
Yeah. So refresh my memory. USB-C, reversible connector so you can't get it wrong. And so that whatever it is about the USB, the standard USB cables that you plug in where we can never get them right the first time. I don't know why those. I swear they change in your hand.
And they fit perfectly in a LAN port, like an RJ45 port.
Anyway, but USB-C was going to fix that reversible connection and so on. But it just the early iterations have not gone well.
No. And there's no cohesive definition of what USB-C is compared to, what most people think. When I hear USB-C, I think, that's USB 3.1.
But it isn't necessarily.
It's not.
It could be.
And it probably is.
But it doesn't have to be.
Right. And it doesn't have to transport power across that cable. It doesn't have to. There's a bunch of things it usually does, but it doesn't necessarily have to.
So, and they've been struggling. Supposedly the standard was done in August 2014.
Yep.
But apparently not, and there's still some work being done with this. So the first MacBook, there was a MacBook that came out.
Yeah.
And if you remember this model, a 12-inch screen and had the only port it had on it was a USB Type-C.
Yep.
That was it. You got power through that. Your accessory plugged into that. Everything was supposed to go through the one port. Clean Apple design. We know best what's best for you. You will use this now.
And now you have to buy this adapter to be able to use more than one. Yeah.
Well, that seemed to be pre some sort of standard.
It was like a draft. Yeah.
And so there's accessories that were made for this MacBook that will work with that port but aren't going to work with other USB Type-C devices like the 2016 version of that very same MacBook.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. We did it wrong. We did it very, very wrong. And more to the point, that is not the only device with this problem.
No. So Android platforms have some of these issues too. For instance, the HTC 10 and the LG G5 reportedly have Type-C compliance issues. So it's not just the MacBook. There's smartphones with these sorts of issues. Your peripherals are not going to work.
So kids, pay attention to your USB Type-C stuff. Whatever it is that you're buying and whatever devices you have that have a Type-C connector on them, make sure they are truly the standard, that's the version that they are. Or you might be stuck with something that is just a kind of an orphan. Doesn't really work except for with the one device.
Yeah. So it's summer.
It is.
And I don't know about you, but it's bug season.
It is. In fact, I had my window open the other day and I had the screen out because I got the air conditioner in, no room for the screen, but I had the window down because, save a little power. And flies were buzzing around my room, which I found bothersome.
If only there was a way to get rid of them that didn't involve fly paper.
Or a fly swatter.
Or any other thing that isn't an awesome salt launching gun.
An awesome salt launching gun. Tell me more.
Bugassault.com. So this company is making a gun that you load with table salt.
Nice.
And it's specifically for killing bugs.
Okay, I'm trying to imagine this thing in my mind. Okay, so I got a gun, I load it with table salt, and then what happens?
So this thing kind of reminds me of like the Nintendo Light Zapper from the Nintendo Entertainment System back in the 80s. You fill this thing with table salt, and you get 50 shots of what's essentially bug shot instead of bird shot, but it's the same idea.
Oh, okay. So it actually just shoots out a spray pattern of salt to kill the bug.
Yeah.
I must have this.
Yeah. I want 3 of them.
Bugassault.com. Okay, I'm looking at the show notes here. Bugasalt. Bugassault.com. And it says, oh, we have a picture here. It's like a yellow plastic gun. You load this thing with a spring to get the shot off. I get it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's like a pellet gun or a BB gun, the old slide.
Yeah.
And apparently they've had overwhelming demand for this thing. They did not expect the level of demand that they've seen. So
I'm sorry, it immediately hits my nerd, but it's like, and just kind of like your guy card, whatever. It's like, yes, I must have that. Obviously,
I mean, obvious. Yeah. Was there ever really a question?
What red-blooded male doesn't want a bug assault? Absolutely.
So Tesla's, the new hotness.
Yeah, they're taking over the world.
Yeah, the Model 3 pre-sold like almost 3 times what they expected.
Over 350,000 orders last I knew.
Yeah, and they were only expecting 100 and some odd thousand, whatever. So they have to build new facilities and all this. But Porsche is entering the electric car market with the Mission E, which this isn't exactly news. Back in December, it was basically confirmed that they were going to make this thing.
Okay, so Porsche, I'm thinking sporty car, and then I'd go, well, they make SUVs now too and other things. So what part of the market are they trying to hit with this thing?
This is performance.
Oh, okay.
This is make the Tesla Model S owners angry.
Okay.
And it's probably going to be way more expensive, but it is 600 horsepower equivalent. 0 to 60 in 3.5-ish seconds with a 300-mile range. That's 482 kilometers. Yeah, not bad.
If you're driving it to 3.5 seconds to 60.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, anyway, yeah.
It's apparently going to include an 800-volt charger, which will charge the battery to 80% in about 15 minutes, which is... That's pretty all right with me.
I mean, I still got to do wiring in my garage or something.
Yeah. Especially
800 volts is a lot of juice.
And then if you want to go, whole hog with the charging solution, they're actually talking about offering induction charging with the coil embedded in your garage floor. So you just park the thing and it's charging. It's like setting your phone down on a wireless charger. Yeah.
Awesome.
And maybe they're going to do a rollout map for people that aren't building a garage specifically for this car, but chances are if you're buying this car you could build another garage. I'm just guessing.
But really they're going after the Tesla, because this car sounds beyond the Tesla. I mean, I don't get me wrong, the Tesla S is an incredible performance machine, but I look at it and it's sporty, but still don't think of it as a sports car exactly.
Yeah, no, it has ludicrous mode, right? Which
that was a software upgrade.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds or something like that. But the big gotcha with that is really what one of the Porsche product managers who's involved with the Mission E said. He said, quote, "The thing about Tesla's ludicrous mode is that it's a facade. 2 launches saps the whole battery, and that won't be the case with the Mission E. You'll be able to run it hard over and over. The battery will not overheat, the power control module will not overheat, and the seats will not suck."
Yeah, big words. I mean, other than the seats will not suck, I'm not sure how much control he's going to have over that, because what he's saying is Tesla, the people that invented new battery technology and are the best at this in the entire world, we're totally going to do better than them.
And yeah, the guys who are doing it now, in 3.5 years, this thing's going to kick your butt.
Exactly.
Because it's not coming out until 2020. So yeah, Tesla isn't really the performance car company, which is what you said. I mean, they're expanding down market with the 3.
And the Model X is an SUV.
Right.
Yeah.
And so performance isn't really their thing. And yes, ludicrous mode really is a gimmick. It's just sort of a, hey, you have a Ferrari. That's cute. It allows you to show off the power of the electric car, but that's not what the Model S is about, really.
Well, to me, Tesla, sure, they made a car that people with a lot of money would be attracted to. So I think that defined the characteristics of the early Roadster, and then the Model S.
Yep.
Very upscale. It's a beautiful machine to look at. The interior is, if you're a techie, it's a dream.
Jaw-dropping. Yeah.
But, you can't say that they've gone after the sports car market by any means. And as you point out, the Model 3 is more of an everyman car.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still going to be a high-end, beautiful machine, I have no doubt. But they are trying to change how we as Americans, it's a global market, but how we drive. Not burning fossil fuels directly through an internal combustion engine. Yeah, we got to burn some to charge the cars probably, but have that electric car experience. And everything I've heard about driving a purely electric car it's pretty glorious.
Yeah. I mean, the S has the highest rating. I think it was Car and Driver. I might be wrong on the publication, but a review was done, and they said this is the best car we've ever driven. So, yeah, Porsche is coming to market here in 3.5 years, but like we sort of already discussed, 3.5 years, these aren't just cars anymore. These are pieces of high technology, and 3.5 years in tech is an eternity.
Yeah.
And where will Tesla be?
I was just thinking that.
Or some other unknown company that's going to come out of nowhere. I don't know. I just don't see it. I mean, it's a gorgeous car, don't get me wrong. If it looks like what the photos look like, it's a gorgeous car.
Yeah.
But in 3.5 years, I don't think it's going to be terribly relevant.
And it's still going to be a niche player, like most Porsches are.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Death Watch, Eric, we haven't done a Death Watch in a while. We had some fun with the BlackBerry Priv a little bit ago. Just kind of reminding that's been on our Death Watch list. Well, we have a new entrant, a new Death Watch entrant this week. Terrible, terrible news. Microsoft bought LinkedIn. Oh, no.
My favorite social network. Not so much.
LinkedIn has been turning into like Facebook for business, kind of, where I can't even look at my LinkedIn timeline anymore. It is inspirational videos and here's my humble brag and all of that nonsense, and I just can't even look at it. LinkedIn, for me, what it was some years ago, we're going back in time. I mean,
like 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could put my resume up there, and in fact, I could say to recruiters or whoever it was,
go look at my LinkedIn.
Look at my LinkedIn profile. Yep. Everything's there. My whole history and all that stuff is still there, but it's become it's much more about the content that you're sharing. LinkedIn's created a blog platform. LinkedIn lets you build your company platforms out, your company profiles out, and then share a whole bunch of data there so you can follow a company. That I don't even mind so much, but the main waterfall of content that are individual people sharing, people cannot distinguish anymore between Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and whatever else they're using and LinkedIn.
And there's no real way to filter anything either.
You can mute individual posts and things like that, but there is no straightforward way to say, I never want to see this classification of posts or anything like that. It's just, you have the certain ones that keep coming up again, say, please stop showing me this. Now, what that means is I don't look at the timeline anymore.
Nope.
If I check LinkedIn, I look at the thing in the upper right-hand corner, the badges.
Do I have any notifications?
Someone trying to connect to me? Is someone trying to chat with me? And then I interact with those things.
Yep.
And that's all I use it for.
And I think the big problem is LinkedIn started focusing on making money and keeping people on the site. And so they wanted fewer external links. They wanted people to use their platform to, push content and become a influencer and all this. So it's about keeping the eyeballs on their site instead of people linking to things that were off of their site. And now Microsoft wants in on the action, and I just don't see this going well.
I'm sure Microsoft will find some way to monetize this. They'll do ads. Honestly, I've read a few different people with opinions of, I don't get this. Why did Microsoft do this? And I'm kind of with them. I don't immediately see the $26.2 billion of value that Microsoft spent. I mean, they got it in the bank, apparently, although they are doing some debt to finance the purchase. But it's like, how are they going to recoup that investment? What are they going to do? And anything I can think of that they're going to do involves advertising, cross-pollination with Microsoft products. It's all bad. It's all bad.
We're going to integrate Visual Studio Online with LinkedIn. And I guess, the big reason it's on Death Watch for me is LinkedIn will live on, but it's really kind of in name only. because it's not what it even once was, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Not at all.
And I think that it will be a, hollow husk of itself in months to come.
LinkedIn's distinctiveness has been added to another, right? That is the best way to put it.
Yep, definitely.
And so maybe it should just die, and we can go back to sharing our resumes the old-fashioned way. I don't know. What value was LinkedIn really adding to my life at this point? I have no idea. So, hey, content we like. You finally got around to watching The Martian, which I haven't seen yet, but maybe no spoilers, but what can you tell us?
Yeah, spoiler-free, little quick review here. So The Martian came out in 2015. I never got around to watching it until last week, but I enjoyed it very much. It harkens back to Apollo 13 in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was like the semi-disaster movie, but right?
Yeah,
that was the one where...
based on a true story.
Yeah.
And it's a nod to reality about the depths of the ingenuity of members of the various space programs in the world that they go to have successful missions that bring everyone back home safely. Because not exactly a spoiler, but he gets left on Mars.
Right, I knew that premise for the story,
Yeah.
and the whole thing was
And
about
so
getting
it's about
him
how
home.
do they get him home.
Yeah.
It's even pretty solid from a scientific standpoint. It's very entertaining. Even had a few belly laugh moments. And I thought Matt Damon was really good in it.
Nice. Oh, okay, cool. I will. It's been on my list. It's like, I need to see that. I just hadn't seen it. Yeah, I'll make it a point. I'd like to see The Martian. It sounds good.
Yep. Did you learn anything today?
I did learn some things today. I was reading an article on a trailrunnersblog.com. I'm old and my knees hurt, so I don't know that I'm much of a trail runner. I still, fancy a run in the woods now and again, so I do follow some of these people. But
Trail logger.
But they're more like it, yeah. But there was a very brief article on a trailrunnersblog.com about what causes runner's high. Some more evidence, because actually we don't know. So runner's high is the idea that as you're running along and you've gone a long way, you're in pain. There's a lot of bodily discomfort that comes with running a long distance over time. You have this, what they call the runner's high, where it's a feeling of euphoria. The pain goes away. What the heck causes that? And science has actually struggled to figure that out.
Huh.
And recent experiments tell us that endocannabinoids are potentially responsible for the runner's high. At least, according to that experiment cited in the article, that is what the mice tell us.
So they actually said, hey, guys, it's the endocannabinoids.
It's the endocannabinoids, yes. Did you learn anything today, Aaron?
I did. I learned that top fuel dragsters are really freaking fast. Duh.
Well, yeah, we know.
And that they're marvels of engineering, more importantly.
Now, by fast, you're talking the top fuel dragsters that when they're clearing the quarter-mile run, they're going 300-plus miles an hour, yeah, those?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk numbers here. One top fuel dragster, so these are the ones alcohol-powered, right? It has a 500 cubic inch Hemi engine, and it makes more horsepower than the first 4 rows at the Daytona 500.
In only
combined.
500 cubic inches?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
8,000 horsepower.
Wow, that is extraordinary.
Under full throttle, that dragster engine consumes 11.2 gallons of nitromethane per second.
I think my Turbo Subaru is somewhere close to that. Anyway.
A fully loaded 747 consumes jet fuel at the same rate, but produces 25% less energy.
Oh, man.
A stock Dodge Hemi V8 engine, which is, I think, somewhere around 350, 400 horsepower, somewhere in that neighborhood, doesn't produce enough power to drive the dragster supercharger.
The supercharger, meaning the big blower on the top with
Yeah.
the where the intake comes in and all that. Wow.
Speaking of the supercharger, it moves 3,000 cubic feet of air per minute. The intake rams it into the supercharger. The fuel mixture is compressed into a near solid form before ignition, and the cylinders run on the verge of hydraulic lock at full throttle.
So these machines are tuned. Now, so a little something I knew about top fuel dragsters is they have to tear down and rebuild the engine after every run.
Yes.
Is my understanding, because they're put under such incredible stress, and now I'm starting to understand why.
Yeah. So at the stoichiometric 1.7 to 1 air-fuel mixture ratio for nitromethane, the flame temperature measures 7,050 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's a bomb.
Yeah,
Basically what
it
it is.
really kind of is.
Solid fuel, nearly.
Yeah.
7,000 degree burn. Oh, my word.
The magnetos that supply the spark to the spark plugs, there are 2 for each spark plug, and they supply 44 amps of electricity, and that is the output of an arc welder in each cylinder.
We're bad at space exploration, but by golly, if we want to go fast on the Earth, we've got it down. We know what to do.
Dragsters reach over 300 miles per hour before I finished reading this sentence.
Man.
So, just to put this into a little bit of perspective here, assuming that all the equipment is paid off for a top fuel dragster, the crew works for free, and for once nothing blows up, each run costs an estimated $1,000 per second. 0 to 100 is achieved in 0.8 seconds.
The human body must be suffering under that load. My word.
So, to wrap up this bit here, the guy who wrote this article that I'll obviously link in the show notes wrote up this little bit about driving an average $140,000 Corvette Z06. A mile up the road, a top fuel dragster is staged and ready to launch for a drag race, right? Quarter-mile strip. You have the advantage of a flying start. You're in the vet going an honest 200 miles per hour by the time you pass the dragster that is staged. The tree goes green, and you're both taking off at that very moment.
So again, the vet's got a flying start going 200 miles an hour.
200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
When the race starts. The dragster launches and starts after. You keep your foot down hard, but you hear an incredibly brutal whine that sears your eardrums, and within 3 seconds, the dragster catches and passes you. He beats you to the finish line a quarter mile away from where you had just passed him. From a standing start, the dragster had spotted the Corvette 200 miles per hour and not only caught, but nearly blasted it off the road when it passed within a mere 1,320-foot-long race. That's acceleration.
Yeah, buddy.
Amazing machines. Incredibly wasteful, but amazing. And that's all we've got for today. So, did you like the show? Good. You can prove it by becoming a Patreon subscriber. Visit citizensoftech.com and click on the Patreon link to buy us more time away from our families. I mean, we've got to justify this all somehow.